Welcome to our channel.
Let's learn English together.
Have you ever spent hours memorizing vocabulary? Only to freeze when someone asks you a simple question like, "How's your day?" Do you feel confident reading English but struggle to understand it when it's spoken quickly? If so, you're not alone. The truth is, many learners focus too much on grammar and vocabulary and completely overlook the real key to fluency, listening. In today's episode, we're going deep. We'll talk about why listening is not just helpful, it's essential for mastering English. You'll learn how your brain processes language, what most learners do wrong, and how to build a daily habit that will finally unlock your English comprehension. Let's get into it. Part 1. Why listening is the foundation of language. Imagine how babies learn to speak. They don't start with textbooks. They don't study grammar. They simply listen. They hear the voices of their parents, the tone, the rhythm, the emotion, thousands of hours before they ever say their first word. Now ask yourself, if that's how we all learned our first language, why would English be any different? Listening is input, and language learning begins with input. You cannot speak what you have never heard. You cannot write what you cannot understand. In other words, listening feeds the brain. It trains your ears, your memory, your sense of language structure. Just like music, the more you hear, the more natural it becomes. Part 2. The silent problem reading versus listening. Let me share a common mistake. Many learners say, "I read English every day. I understand grammar. Why can't I understand native speakers?" Because reading and listening are completely different skills. When you read, you can pause. You can look up words. You control the pace. But when someone speaks, there's no pause button. Native speakers use contractions, reductions, connected speech. Did you eat yet becomes did you eat yet? I'm going to becomes I'm gonna. You want to becomes wanna. If you've only learned English from a book, you're not trained to hear the real spoken language. Reading is useful, but listening is what makes your English alive. Part 3. What happens in the brain when you listen. Let's talk science for a moment. When you listen in your native language, your brain processes sound patterns almost instantly. It connects them to meaning without effort. But when you listen to a foreign language, your brain has to work much harder. It's decoding sounds, figuring out word boundaries, understanding grammar all in real time. The more you listen, the faster your brain becomes at this. It's like building a mental highway. At first, it's slow, but with repetition, the path becomes smooth and automatic. There's a reason polyglots, people who speak 5-10 languages, spend hundreds of hours listening. They know the secret. Fluency is built through listening. Part 4. The dangerous belief. I'll practice listening later. Let's address a dangerous mindset. I'll focus on grammar first. I'll listen when I'm more advanced. That's like saying, I'll start driving after I've read every rule in the manual. You cannot learn to swim without water. You cannot learn to understand English without listening to it. Listening is not optional. It's the core practice of learning. Even 15 minutes a day can change your brain. Part 5. What kind of listening matters? Now here's an important question. What should you listen to? Let's break it down. 1. Comprehensible input. You must listen to things that are just slightly above your current level. If it's too hard, you'll feel frustrated. If it's too easy, you won't grow. Podcasts like this one are perfect because we speak clearly, at a natural pace, with stories and repetition. 2. Repeated listening. Don't just listen once. Repeat it, shadow it, mimic the speaker. Your brain loves repetition. 3. Variety of accents. Expose yourself to different accents. American, British, Australian. This trains your ears to be flexible. 4. Active listening. Don't just play audio in the background. Focus. Try to catch phrases. Repeat what you hear. Make it a workout, not background noise. Part 6. Real stories, what listening did for others. Let me tell you about Aya, a young woman from Japan. She studied English for 10 years but couldn't understand movies or news. Then, she made one change. She started listening to English every single day. Podcasts on the train, TED Talks at lunch, audiobooks before bed. After 3 months, her brain clicked. She could understand casual conversations. She stopped translating in her head. Now she works for an international company and speaks confidently in meetings. Or take Carlos from Brazil. He never passed an English test in school, but he loved basketball. So he started watching NBA interviews over and over every day. Without even trying to study, he picked up slang, rhythm, and confidence. Listening made him fluent even before he realized it. Part 7. How to build a listening habit, even if you're busy. You don't need hours a day, you need consistency. Here's how to start. 1. Choose one podcast or video series. Stick to it for 30 days. Repetition is your friend. 2. Set a time. During breakfast, on your commute, right before sleep, tie it to a routine. 3. Use the 3 listen method. First, just listen casually. Second, listen with subtitles. Third, repeat without looking and try to shadow. 4. Keep a listening journal. Write down interesting phrases or one sentence you remember. This builds active memory. 5. Be patient. At first, you will understand 30%, then 50%, then 80%. The change is invisible until it's suddenly obvious. Part 8. Addressing your fears. Maybe you think, I'm too old. My accent is too strong. I'll never understand native speed. But listen, none of that matters. Fluency isn't about age. It's about exposure. If a 65-year-old farmer in Korea can become fluent by listening to English songs for years, so can you. Stop thinking in limits. Start thinking in input. Your ears are smarter than you think. Trust them. Feed them. Part 9. The real benefits of listening. When you build strong listening skills, here's what happens. Your speaking improves because you finally hear how English flows. Your pronunciation improves because your brain absorbs natural sounds. Your confidence grows because you stop feeling lost in conversations. Your vocabulary expands without needing to memorize lists. Listening isn't just one skill. It's the foundation of all other skills. It is the shortcut to fluency that most people ignore. Don't be one of them. Part 10. Final words, a challenge for you. Let me leave you with this challenge. For the next 30 days, listen to English for 30 minutes a day. Choose anything you like. This podcast, TED Talks, YouTube interviews, audiobooks, English songs, but do it every day. You don't need a perfect method. You don't need expensive courses. You just need to show up and listen. If you do this, I promise you'll begin to feel the language. You'll stop saying, I don't understand native speakers, and start saying, wait, I understood that. Bonus. Quick English takeaway. 5 key listening phrases. Let's finish with 5 phrases from this episode. Try to remember how we said them. What's up? Sounds like wassup. Did you eat yet? Did you eat yet? I'm gonna. You want to? Wanna? I don't know. I don't know. This is real spoken English. Practice hearing and repeating these. Your ears will adjust faster than you think. Thanks for joining today's episode. If you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe. And remember, learning English starts with listening. The more you hear it, the more you understand it. The more you understand it, the more confident you become. This is your journey, and it starts with one listen.